Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, police officer attempted to intimidate my patient, loses fight to physics. Change my phone wallpaper. Okay. Clean the paint pots, okay. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Police officer attempted to intimidate my patient, loses fight to physics. I'm a paramedic. A few months ago, we're coming back from a routine patient transfer when at an intersection about 4 blocks from the base I notice a woman sitting on the side of the road with her arms wrapped around herself and her head down. I nudge my partner who's driving, and we flip on the lights and I see her head come up real fast, and she looks terrified. I get out and she relaxes when she sees the ambulance. After I approach, I notice bruising on her wrists and other similar signs of domestic abuse. She seems hesitant to get up off the curb and into the ambulance, so I decided that I would at least pull the cot out of the back and give her something a little more comfortable than concrete to sit on. Now a few important details. All the cots in my service are striker-powered cots. You've almost certainly seen these before. They're bright yellow with black handles and side panels. These cots have a motor and battery built in to allow us to raise and lower the cot at the touch of a button instead of throwing out our backs having to physically lift the cot up after loading someone. They're usually paired with an automatic loading system built into the ambulance that lifts the cot up to the right height to be pushed inside and also secures the cot when loaded. There's a little red tab at the end of the track, just inside the doors, that you press down to free the cot and allow it to slide out. When you press this tab, it simply releases the cot and the loading carriage it's connected to, and it's up to you to keep it under control until it reaches the unload position and locks into place again. This can be problematic because these cots weigh about 125 pounds, about 55 kilograms. As soon as I hit the release tab for the cot, I hear lights and sirens behind me. It's a city police car. Which is weird because we had not yet requested police, and we were outside the city, in the sheriff's department jurisdiction. We merely informed dispatch that we were stopping to check on a woman at such and such intersection. The woman says something along the lines of "Oh God, he's here," and moves faster than me, seeing free food being distributed at base. She dashes past me and pretty much hurls herself into the ambulance, sitting on the bench seat. The cop is approaching and he's pissed. I put 2 and 2 together and slam the ambulance doors shut. Let's call this officer Police Officer Steve, or POS for short. POS, is that by? Is she in there? Me, who? POS, you know damn well who I am talking about. Me, you mean my patient? I'm afraid I haven't gotten a name yet. POS, open those doors, I need to talk to her. Me, you're not using my rig as an interview room. You can talk to her at the hospital. We go back and forth like this for a few minutes. My partner at some point came back to see what the holdup was, but overheard my stonewalling and went back to the cab to call our chief. I continue my routine of deny and delay until a pair of deputies, likely specifically requested for this by the chief, arrive. Oh good, now I have witnesses. See, we had stopped on an upwards incline. I had hit the release tab on the cot and it wanted to slide back. I had to close the doors so swiftly, I didn't bother pushing the cot back against the stops and locking it in place. Emboldened by the presence of 2 deputies, he gets in my face. Get out of my way or I'm gonna have to charged with obstruction. Okay. I step out of his way, and he opens the double doors. Between the cot, the monitor, and the jump bag, I'd say there was probably close to 160 pounds contained by those doors. All of which comes barreling out and hits POS square in the chest. He goes backwards and falls on his ass. One of the deputies laughs aloud. The other walks up and kneels down beside the guy. He says, "Your shift captain is going to be here in 5, I wouldn't be here then if I were you." POS gathers himself up and scowls at me, then stomps off. There is a limited amount that I can say about the aftermath as the trial is not settled yet, but we all know how well charges stick to cops. The woman is now living elsewhere, the cop is still a cop, and I have been getting pulled over at least twice a week ever since then. But the video footage of him getting body checked by that cop remains one of the best things I have seen. As a domestic abuse survivor, thank you for going out of your way to protect her from him. The worst situations are when the abuser is in a position of power, or has friends in positions of power that will assist them. Kudos to you and the deputies that made him leave. I'm sure that woman will remember your assistance for a long time. I will say though, I would pay big money to see my abuser get knocked on his ass due to his own stupidity. I'm sure watching that happen to him made that woman's day. Right? Like I am separately furious that even in this situation the other cops were like LOL better get out of here before you get caught. Getting pulled over twice a week is clearly harassment. What does his department say about this? I can't recall the case, but I do know someone successfully sued over this exact police behavior, pulling someone over twice a week. This is what I was thinking. Not even counting that it's being done to an EMT. You can start getting badge numbers when you get pulled over. Invest in front and back dash cams. If you're in a single consent state for recording, grab a voice recorder as well. Also, Proli should get a lawyer on retainer. Even if you're not in a single consent state, you can always record on duty cops in public. Cops regularly refuse to give badge numbers in my experience. All over the US too, not just in a particular state. Fantastic work. Good on you. Separately, if I were you, I'd invest in a good dashcam immediately. One that has a 360-degree view and includes a good view of the car's interior. Would also be good if it live uploads to the cloud. I worry for your safety. Usually paired with an automatic loading system. Cries an underfunded volunteer service. The cop is still a cop, and I have been getting pulled over at least twice a week ever since then. Question: why are more and more people getting disgusted with a corrupt police system? Because those of you who haven't been disgusted are finally getting disgusted. NWA wrote "Fuck the Police" 30 years ago, and everything in that song sounds like it was written last week. I'm glad more people are waking up to the corruption of US police, but a lot of us have known this for generations at this point. Can we address how we all just accepted, as normal, that not only is a domestic abuser pretty much immune from charges, but the person who stood up to him in opposition now reports experiencing coordinated harassment from his co-workers? It's a sad state where that kind of behavior is expected. But when you say you need to abolish the police, you are called the bad guy. I have been getting pulled over at least twice a week ever since then. Perfectly explains all on its own why folks hate LEOs. Change my phone wallpaper. Okay. I had a picture of a snake as my phone wallpaper and my father was not pleased. He asked me to change my wallpaper, so I did. A few days later, I was at church with my father, standing in a circle with all of his church friends. I got out my phone on full brightness and switched it on to a wallpaper of a bikini girl. I looked forward after a while and saw some of his friends looking at me. Back home, my father was a bit pissed, but more amused than anything. If he asks you to change it, change to a girl in a bikini holding a snake. Weird to micromanage your kid's screen like that. You're old enough to have your own phone and post on Reddit, you're old enough to have a snake as a wallpaper of your own volition. Exactly, which is why my kids can pay for their own phone once they have a job. They don't complain for long, but after they find out they're paying rent and car expenses too when they get a job, I bet I'll hear more. /S. Next up, Elmo backed by flames saying "Hail Satan." Why not the woodland critters? Especially during the blood orgy. Even better, make it say "Hail Satan." At least you didn't use some obviously pagan symbols. Dad and church friend wouldn't have loved that. Yes. After read that they were in church, I was expecting a wallpaper of a demonic looking goat or something. The bikini girl is a safer pick though compared to that. A girl in a bikini that has satanic symbols on it, holding a snake. I wonder how he would have reacted if you had changed it to a picture of a buff, oiled up guy in a bikini. As long as the snake doesn't tell you to eat an apple, your dad should have been fine. Oh well, thanks for the hint. I was confused. What is wrong with a snake? Why not a snake? What's his problem with the cold-blooded? Clean the paint pots, okay. In high school I got a detention with the art teacher and had to stay behind after class for an hour, UK. Our punishment was to clean the 6-pot art palettes. They had been used and abused for years on end, each student putting in a new color of paint over the various other dried colors until the recesses were almost non-existent. Clean these palettes was the assignment, so okay, that's what I did. The other students cleaned out the freshest, wettest paint and put them back by the handful. I went to town on one palette, scraping and scrubbing and brushing for almost the full hour until the original plastic was visible and the palette appeared brand new. The teacher came in after the hour to check on our progress and was shocked when they saw how clean my one was compared to the other students' 15. She did laugh though and took it all well and couldn't complain as that was the assignment. I used that palette for the rest of my art class. For those complaining about this not being malicious compliance, OP had a punishment to clean paint pots for an hour. OP chose to thoroughly clean one paint pot in that hour rather than the intended/expected 15 going by their peers. Y'all need to chill. Agreed. People tend to forget the compliance part of the malicious compliance deal. Yes, he did comply, but maliciously. This is a light-hearted story, and it was fun. Yeah, the OP reminded me of a family story about my brother and sister. They were told to peel potatoes for supper, and my brother suggested a competition to see who could peel the most. Sure enough, my super competitive sister furiously peeled potato after potato, while my brother slowly and meticulously peeled one or two. Jovial and committed compliance. My dad was in a class where the teacher gave out 100 physics problems and told the class to solve as many as they chose to solve and their grade would be based on that. He also pointed out the ones that had never been solved. My dad only worked on the ones that had not been solved. He only solved a few, but he got a good grade. Everyone else went for quantity. You did a great service. Malicious would have been tipping the paint out from its bottles and rinsing those clean. That wouldn't have been compliance unless the art teacher was absurdly vague. Wonder if that teacher was hunting for ways to get you in detention again, to try and get more of the palettes clean to that standard? This is more like to go above and beyond instead of MC. If cleaning art stuff had a Medal of Honor, you would get it. If it was expected to complete 15 palettes, and only one was cleaned, it's malicious compliance. They took the goal of cleaning to the extreme to reduce the amount of product produced. Well, at least OP has mastered the art of efficiency. There's nothing malicious here. Sounds more like boring compliance. Sure, it's malice if she expected you to get 15 done and you only got one done. That could absolutely be seen as a waste of time according to the expectations. Malice does not need to be devious, elaborate, and evil, it can be simple. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.